Ladies and gentlemen, people of the Queen City, people of the University of Cincinnati, it is my honor and privilege to welcome you to the Big 12.
You are Locked On Bearcats, your daily podcast on the Cincinnati Bearcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you so much for making Locked On Bearcats your first listen every day. It is free and available wherever you listen to podcasts, including if you watch us on YouTube. Don't forget when you're watching us to hit that subscribe button. You can follow us to get an alert every time that we drop a new episode. My name is Alex Frank, your host of Locked On Bearcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. It is the 4th of July, Tuesday, July 4th, as my coworker at ABC6 up here in Columbus, Kurt Ludlow, would say. So happy 4th of July. Hope you are celebrating America's birthday. We are celebrating that, and the University of Cincinnati is officially in the Big 12. They joined on July 1st at midnight. They are now a Power 5 university. They are now a Power 5 team in football and men's basketball, and this is just the start of what is going to be a fun day. You've got this, and then later tonight at 7:30, we're going live, 90-minute show that will serve as the podcast, for Wednesday. Heck, I might even, it'll be live show tonight for 90 minutes. We might even have some guests, and we'll have, the podcast of that show, if you miss it, will be up on Wednesday. But this is everything that the University of Cincinnati has worked for. This is everything that we have dreamed of as Bearcats fans. And it does mean a lot to, I think you're seeing Bearcat fans, and you feel something inside of you that you have not felt. And I'm not saying the Bearcats have never belonged. They proved that when they went to the college football playoff in 2021. But now you're going to get so many luxuries and amenities that come with being a Power 5 program. And I'm talking about being on national TV more often than just once, twice, or maybe 3 times a season. And the Bearcats were on national TV a lot the last 2-3 seasons because of how good they were. But you're going to get national TV appearances. You're going to get television revenue is going to be significantly higher than it was in the American. You're going to get exposure. You're going to get the draft picks, recruiting. That is one thing, and we're going to talk about this on the live room tonight. Recruiting. Add that to a segment. I've been trying to plan the show for the past few days. So we're going to have recruiting. But just to me, it's like everything this university has worked for. When John Cunningham came here, and I remember, obviously, when 2016 happened, and I remember 2017 with Luke Fickell in year one. I remember Tommy Tuberville in 2016. And it kind of felt like the Big 12 was kind of an afterthought, like, oh, yeah, keep dreaming. But ever since Luke Fickell got here, and ever since John Cunningham arrived, it's been this push towards not just the Big 12, but it's been this push towards finally being at that table where you can maximize on the resources that you have and the foundation that is beneath you. And I think that is what I am most excited about. You finally feel like there is stability. Remember, I talked about this is Cincinnati's 5th conference in the last 35 years. But what's really interesting to me is that this is their first, obviously, Power 5, but they haven't really been in a conference for, they were in the American for 10 years. They were in Conference USA for 10 years. So you really feel like that, and they were in Conference USA for, 10 years. So the 2 conferences that you were in the most, and they were in the Big East from 05 through 13, so that's 8 seasons. So the only time they've been close to a Power 5, which is the Big East, which I consider a major conference, they weren't even in that that wasn't even their longest tenured conference membership. But now they have the Big 12. And I get it. There's stuff happening with conference realignment. There's rumors, there's murmurs, there's bubblings, there's all that. But just enjoy this moment. Just enjoy this time. We are 60 days away from the Bearcats' first regular season game as a Big 12 team against Eastern Kentucky. We are 81 days away from Oklahoma. And I'm talking about it with Chick Ludwig on ESPN 1530. I'm on with him last week. If you didn't listen to it, I'll find a way to get that clipped and tweet that out so you can hear the conversation that we had. But what I remember the most about that conversation was, think about the weekend Cincinnati just had. And we're going to talk about that in the live room tonight with the Reds, the Bearcats, Taylor Swift, FC Cincinnati, which I'll get to that tonight. But consider this weekend in Cincinnati. You're going to have this when the Bearcats and Oklahoma play on September 23rd. You're going to have that game on Saturday night, the Reds and Pirates that Friday night. Who knows what's going to be on the line in that game? You're going to have FC Cincinnati. They play at home that weekend, I believe, against Charlotte. And then you have Monday Night Football, Rams-Bengals in Paycor Stadium, which is a rematch of Super Bowl 56. So you have your first Big 12 game against Oklahoma and then a Super Bowl rematch in football. Baseball, you got something going on. I mean, heck, you never know if there's going to be like maybe, you know what would be great is if the Bearcats men's basketball program decides, yeah, we want to jump into, we're going to have Midnight Madness on Saturday after the Oklahoma game. Can you imagine if they did that? Maybe I just gave Wes Miller something to think about. So just enjoy this time. Just enjoy this first year in the Big 12. I don't care how it goes. Do I care if the Bearcats make a bowl game? Absolutely. Do I care if the Bearcats, fall completely flat on their faces? Yes. Because you don't want that to happen, and you do want to make a bowl game. But outside of that, anything else is, what do they say, the icing on the cake? So the Cincinnati Bearcats, it is a very exciting time for them. And I've got 12 things that I'm really excited about the Cincinnati Bearcats going into the Big 12, because I think they're all really fascinating things that I'm excited about. And again, there's just so much more to this than where the Bearcats were. I get it that they had a lot of success in the American. I get it. It's going to be more difficult in the Big 12. We all know that. But at the same time, the Cincinnati Bearcats are in the Big 12. The city of Cincinnati, and as I documented and as Barry Trammell on this show talked about, the fact that a city like Cincinnati is in the Big 12, you don't see a lot of that in college athletics. A major city, and I'm fortunate to live in one in Columbus, and where I went to school is also in a Power 5 conference, Ohio State and Cincinnati. But this is where you want to be if you're a Bearcats fan. 12 most exciting things about the Big 12. Next. Today's episode of Locked On Bearcats is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Take your first swing at betting MLB on FanDuel and get 10 times your first bet amount in bonus bets up to $200. That's right. Just bet $20 and you'll land $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. That's $200 you can spend betting everything from the money line to the over-under to who you think is going to hit the first home run. All on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. There's no better place to bet on MLB than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So sign up today and visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get up to $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, an official partner of Major League Baseball. As always, thank you for making Locked On Bearcats your first listen every day. We value the everyday listener on this show, those who make us our first listen every day as much as they can, those who never miss an episode. We sincerely thank you all who make us your first listen every day. We got a lot of great stuff coming in the fall. I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure you are too. Don't forget tonight at 7:30, a live room, all things Big 12 and the Cincinnati Bearcats. It's 4th of July, so what a time to have a live room. We're going to try and go 90 minutes. It'll be in podcast form on Wednesday, and then we still got one more show this week on Thursday, so looking forward to being a part of that with you. The Cincinnati Bearcats are in the Big 12, and I've got 12 things that I'm really excited about with the Cincinnati Bearcats making the Big 12. Well, I shouldn't say making the Big 12, but they are now entered into the Big 12. So let's go to the 12 things that I'm most excited about the Bearcats beating the Big 12. Number one, Bearcats, Kansas. And I say that as someone who has always been, and I'm a Bearcats basketball fan to the core. Same with football. But you get Bearcats in Kansas and men's basketball. Understand that you are now going to play potentially not once, but maybe twice, heck, maybe 3 times. You're going to play against a Power 5 team that is a blue blood. You are going to play against a team, a program that is up there, top 5, top 3. I think they still are the winningest program right now active in college basketball history. So you have Kansas coming in to your arena, Fifth Third, and then you get to play in Allen Fieldhouse, the Fog. That is going to be an unbelievable atmosphere if you are the Bearcats. Both places, you're probably going to have fans getting tickets outside Fifth Third Arena. It's going to be an incredible experience. I can't wait to be a part of it. I hope you can either. So there's that. Then there's the Big 12 tournament in Kansas City. I once read in The Athletic, this was years ago, I think this was 2018, back when The Athletic was in its infancy. And I remember reading, there was a question amongst college basketball writers, a prompt of the best conference tournament to attend. And the answer was, from one of them, the Big 12. And the reasoning was that every game is sold out, even the early games. Even the noon game on a Thursday is sold out. So I'm looking forward to being a part of that and the competitive spirit that is going to be a part of that tournament in Kansas City, where we know the food scene is great. I've never been to Kansas City personally. I hope to make it out to the Big 12 tournament this year. But just imagine if the Bearcats go on this run, and Bearcat fans will travel. I mean, think about it. If you're a Bengals fan, you're going to travel to Kansas City for the New Year's Eve game. You probably are going to go back for the Big 12 tournament. And the Bearcats men's basketball program has some history. They won the 1992 Midwest Regional in Kansas City en route to their Final Four run. And by the way, Bearcats, Kansas. And I looked this up, and I'll do it right now to confirm. But Lawrence, Kansas, I remember I looked this up a long time ago, but Lawrence, Kansas, which is the home of the Kansas Jayhawks, Kansas is located in Lawrence. So according to maps, Lawrence is, 41 minutes from Kansas City. So let's just say, can you imagine if I don't know when the conference play is going to start in the Big 12 this year, but if the Kansas Jayhawks and the Cincinnati Bearcats play in Kansas on December 30th, the day before the Bengals play the Chiefs, or if they play in Cincinnati the day before the AFC Championship game, which the Bengals will host against the Chiefs, I might have just made a bold prediction. Can you imagine that, though? And that's, again, I talked about this with Chick. It's like, who are the Bearcats' rivals going to be? West Virginia, UCF. I'm talking about it with a friend of mine. They're excited to have the rivalry back with West Virginia. I'm going Kansas because I want the big boys. I want to be rivals with the biggest, baddest team in college in the Big 12, Kansas. The Bengals were that way with the Chiefs, and it can be that way with the Cincinnati Bearcats and the Kansas Jayhawks. Number 3, every men's basketball game feeling like a tournament game. There's a reason we're doing live rooms after every men's basketball game this year, especially when we get to Big 12 play, because every game is going to be dissected for hours after the game. It's going to be dissected the day after the game. It's probably going to be dissected leading up to the next game, which, oh, by the way, could be 48 hours later, only that. You are going to have an unbelievable experience when it comes to men's basketball this year, because every game, I don't care if you're playing Oklahoma on a Monday night at 9 o'clock, which is still a big slot, big Monday. I don't care if you're playing them on a Wednesday night on ESPN+. If you're not ready for that game, you will pay a price. Speaking of which, number 4, Big Monday. I am hoping that the Bearcats are on Big Monday at least once this year. I'm not sure. There's 14 teams. Got a lot of mouths to feed if you're the media. And obviously, ESPN wants Kansas. They want Baylor. They want Texas. They want Heck, I would even say Oklahoma. They want the best teams from that conference. TCU will probably get its game, but you hope, excuse me, that you get the Bearcats at least once on ESPN's Big Monday. Because I grew up watching Big Monday. It was ACC at 7 and then the Big 12. Number 5, the rivalry with West Virginia returning. And this is in both sports. Now, it does maybe, and again, I wish Bob Huggins nothing but the best. Did it maybe lose a little bit of excitement when Bob Huggins resigned? It could have. But the proximity of the two teams, it's still going to be fun. It's still going to be fun to have that rivalry, the closest team to Cincinnati in terms of proximity in the conference. It's going to be fun to go there for football in November, especially if both teams are fighting for something meaningful like a bowl game. This is what you want if you are a Bearcats fan and you want that rivalry back. Again, is it unfortunate that Bob Huggins resigned because of what happened? Yes. But I don't want that to hamper your excitement for the rivalry. Number 6, playing Oklahoma in the first Big 12 game in football. That's going to be unbelievable. Now, I don't know if that's the first conference game, period. I don't know if that's their first conference game as an athletic institution. I can go on gobearcats.com and find that out. But as far as football is concerned, if that game is not a primetime game, and I don't know if it will be a primetime game, but it should. It should be a primetime game. Because it's Oklahoma, it's Cincinnati. Both teams could be 3-0. And how could you not have a nip and night game for your first Big 12 game? That's the best atmosphere. Introduce the Bearcats to the Big 12 that way. Hope ESPN listened to me there. Or I guess is it Disney? So I'm going to look at an athletic calendar. Let's see if we can find, because it's going to be in September, at least I would think. So there's one event on July 6th, the Track and Field Championships. But then you don't have anything the rest of July. Let's check August. Looks like that there is soccer, only soccer. I'm surprised there's not volleyball unless they don't have it listed. Maybe they don't have everything. Let's see about September. So soccer, they play Kansas State on the 14th. So that's the first conference. Well, maybe it might be earlier than that. They also play at Butler on the 7th. On the 10th of September, they play at Pitt. So it looks like women's soccer will play at Kansas State. So that's the first Big 12 competition game. Volleyball has UCF and TCU. Volleyball is UCF, soccer is TCU. So there are some games before the Bearcats play Oklahoma, which, again, we don't know what time of game that will be. Number 7, legitimate teams on the schedule. And I don't mean this as any knock on UCF, or I'm sorry, not UCF, they're in the Big 12, on like Temple or Tulsa, but come on. It was hard for me to get up for those games last year. And I'm sure it was hard for you, especially when the Bearcats weren't really that great offensively and it was kind of a slog to watch those games. But now you don't have that. Can you get up for an Iowa State? Yes. Can you get up for a Baylor? Yes. Can you get up for a Kansas in football? Yes. Number 8, better TV exposure. You're not going to be stuffed on ESPNU or ESPN Plus. ESPNU at 4 o'clock. Now you're going to have ESPN at like noon, or Fox at 3:30, or ESPN at 7:30, or ABC. You're going to have those games. If you go to the Big 12 Championship, noon on ABC, Sean McDonough and Todd Blackledge is now at the Big 10. I don't know who Sean McDonough's partner is now. I need to make sure I know this before the season starts, because Todd Blackledge is now with the Big 10, I think, on NBC. So I don't know where Sean McDonough, who his partner is. So we will find out. That is interesting that Sean McDonough, I guess he'll have a different partner. I don't know who it will be, though. Number 9, great bowl game options. No longer do you have the Birmingham Bowl. I mean, the Military Bowl was cool. Or like the Fenway Bowl. I mean, that was cool too, I guess. But like, no, you're going to have the Liberty Bowl, the Cheez-It Bowl, the Alamo Bowl, the and then you could go to one of several New Year's Six games. But like, you're going to have those games as opposed to just not not the bowl games that no one cares about. Number 10, the crosstown shootout gets elevated. For the first time since the Bearcats were in the Big East, they now have the conference superiority in this rivalry. Excuse me. And the intensity is going to be off the charts. Xavier's going to get up to play a Big 12 team. If you're the Cincinnati Bearcats, how excited is this? Again, this university is driven by that rivalry. So that's going to be fun. It's going to be fun leading up to the game with Oscar Watch, Skyline Chili Cheese Conies being sold rapidly. It's going to be an unbelievable atmosphere. Number 11, the Big 12 championship game in Dallas. Not played at some team's site. No, you're in a conference that has a neutral site championship game. That's how it should be in every conference. Every Power 5 conference has that. You can play in an NFL stadium more than one time a year potentially, because you're going to play at AT&T Stadium. It's going to be, I mean, that's Big 12 country right there. That's where the Big 12 Media Days are taking place, which we'll hit on next week. That's where you want to be. And even if it's not this year, certainly in 2024. And then number 12, the trip to Utah for BYU, which is this year. I'm hoping to maybe go out there for that game just to be in the mountains and see the scenery and the culture that is BYU and the uniqueness of the history that they have inside Provo. Really looking forward to seeing, LaVell Edwards Stadium? Really looking forward to seeing that. And, I mean, that's a 10:15 kickoff on ESPN. Yeah, that live room after the game will be running late into the wee hours of, I don't even know what you call it, night, early morning. 12 things that I'm most excited for about the Big 12. We'll hit on those again tonight in the live room. Up next, since we're on the topic of football, I'll give you my football schedule prediction updated. I think it's 3, 4, 5.0, but we'll get into that next here on Locked On Bearcats. I've been told by many people that I need to be more realistic with my Bearcats schedule prediction. And I asked myself, two things. One, I asked myself, okay, well, what's realistic to you? And then I say, why do I need to be realistic? Because I think this team is going to be better than what they are being advertised as. I think that the Cincinnati Bearcats are going to be a competitive team. One you don't want to play. They're going to be a tough out every single game. They're going to be tough to play on defense. I think they're going to be offensively challenged a little bit, but I think they're still going to be really good offensively. So, EKU's a win. I mean, they'll probably blow them out by 30. Pitt's a tough one. I'm going to go loss there just because I don't know if the Bearcats are going to have an identity yet. Pitt's going to be good this year in the ACC. That's a tough road game to play. So I'm going to say a loss at Pitt, so they get to 1-1. Let's go to Miami. That's a win. Miami, if they couldn't beat the Bearcats in the American, good luck to them beating the Bearcats in the Big 12, because it's going to be a lot more challenging in the Big 12. Let's go Oklahoma. I'm going to be realistic here because Oklahoma is going to be good this year, much better than they were last year in year 2 under Brent Venables. That's a loss, so they get to 2-2. BYU, I'm going to go with a win. I think they could be BYU, but that's a tough ask on a short week to go to Provo in the mountains. You don't know what the weather's going to be like. I'll say a loss there, so they fall to 2-3. Iowa State, after a bye on the 14th, I'm going to say that is a win. Baylor, I'm going to say a win. So now they're 4-3. They got a 2-game winning streak going, first winning streak of the season. Oklahoma State, I'm going to go a loss there. Tough environment on the road. Oklahoma State, Mike Gundy, that's a veteran program with a veteran head coach. So lost there. Let's go to UCF. I think they get revenge against UCF. I really do. I think both teams, they're equals because they're both entering the Big 12 at the same time. I'll go win there. Houston, I'm going to go win there too. So we're at 6-4. West Virginia, I'm going to say a win there. Get to 7-4. And then Kansas, I think they can beat Kansas at home. So 8-4, only one loss at home. So they're 6-1 at home, and then 2-3 on the road. That might be a little ambitious, but I do think this Bearcats team is capable of that. Now, it also could be a situation where they get punched in the mouth early and they never recover because of the competition that is the Big 12. Even though this is not the Big 10 or the SEC, it is still the Big 12, and there's still some good football. But I'm hopeful that the Bearcats will have a successful year one. Coming up later tonight at 7:30 Eastern Time, the live room, hopefully to have some guests and try and go a full 90 minutes with you. Looking forward to that, and that'll be posted in podcast form tomorrow. And on Thursday, we'll have another show for you to round out the week. Thanks so much for making Locked On Bearcats your first listen of every day. I'm on Twitter, Frankie_92Ns, NNATI, Instagram, AlexFrankie_, email, alex3frank@gmail.com. The Cincinnati Bearcats are in the Big 12. We got a live room tonight at 7:30 Eastern Time. Looking forward to that. Until then, have a great 4th of July. I'm Alex Frank for Locked On Bearcats. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. And I am back at 7:30 right here on Locked On Bearcats. That live room, by the way, will be streamed through the Locked On Bearcats YouTube channel. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.